Good afternoon and welcome to KLTV. This afternoon in the studio we are speaking to Bill Guest, the Operations Director of Farmers of New Zealand. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Great. Thank you for coming in again and joining us.
No, it's good.
Now, big news this morning, well I don't know if it is even big news anymore, but at the Global Dairy Trade Auction I see that whole milk powder prices have fallen again. Are we starting to see the effects of this locally?
Well, Fonterra's going to review the price this month, and everybody's preparing themselves for a significant price reduction from the $5.30 that was previously announced, down possibly to the $4.70s, $4.80s. The big worry will be is whether Fonterra alters the current advance of $4. Now, if they decrease that, that's going to cause a fair bit of number crunching, because that's then becomes under the cost of getting the production.
Yeah.
And there's quite a number of farms for sale at the moment.
Do you think that's a result of
I
what's happening at Fonterra?
think there are some people who are, as I've said before, that are fairly highly geared with mortgage.
Yeah.
The trouble is we don't know how long it's going to last for, and if Fonterra reduced that price downwards, I think it would effectively mean that the retrospective payments that we sort of normally get in July, August, September, October next year, that won't happen, because if they do come back to under the $5, there's not much leeway between the $4 and but the weather is good. The grass is growing like mad.
The weather is good.
This time last year, particularly in Northland, we were right in that start of that drought, and that just crucified a lot of us. But
I see also at that auction this morning there were a couple of products that showed signs of improvement.
Yeah.
Is that very significant?
Well, recently the Fonterra chief executive was on, I think, Nationwide, and he said that the biggest problem is with Russia.
Yeah.
Because Russia's put these worldwide bans on everybody. While he was optimistic, as optimistic as they can be, and he stated they were trying to do as much as possible to maximise everything, and they've assured all the shareholders that they're not stockpiling product, that it's going out the door as fast as they make it, and production's up throughout New Zealand. Basically the farmers will just have to have patience, and we wait and see what happens. If you're controlled by the banks, and you've got to, the banks are going to be very vigilant in making sure that overdrafts don't get out of control like they have done, resulting where the bank has to foreclose. Because while we curse the banks when they do that, I think in the main the banks actually don't like doing that. They basically want to lend the money, get the interest in the money back in, and concentrate on other people that they can lend money to.
I guess on the flip side, we are seeing good news with the beef prices.
Oh, yeah.
What are the predictions there?
Well, they say at the moment that everything's going to be good up until Christmas. With all this grass and weather, they might have to keep the prices up because the farmers will hold the stock back. But it's looking pretty good. In fact, I think dairy farmers will be culling their cows and that early to try and keep the old cash flow going.
Speaking of dairy, in one of your columns recently, you were talking about the herd owning share milking agreements.
Yep.
What are the implications of this? Like, what are the?
You're talking about the set-off, the right of set-off.
Yeah.
Well, since farmers, since the share milking industry has sort of been operating, they've always had the right of set-off, and that meant that if a share milker owed you money, you had the right to set off the cheque. And unfortunately some of that has been used, I think, maliciously by some farm owners who've simply cut off the share milker's money, and that actually caused some people to have to leave the industry with no money. there used to be a bit of a habit that some people were, farm owners were professional set-offs. What they would do is every Christmas they would set off the Christmas cheque, and of course what Farmers of New Zealand introduced in the variable order share milking agreement, which is a non-herd owning share milking agreement backed by statute, we brought into the legislation that a farm owner had the right of set-off, but he had to go through a special conciliation process before that happened, and they could only set off 75% of a cheque because, mum and the kids still had to have money to buy groceries, etc. People should read the contracts and seek good advice.
So if people have questions and queries, they can come to Farmers New Zealand?
Farmers New Zealand have got all the answers. We've got good contracts, fair and reasonable, and if you follow the process, you won't get into trouble.
And in your Be My Guest column this week, I believe you've been down to Balclutha.
Yeah, we have.
Graduation ceremony there.
Yep.
Well, tell me more about that.
Well, Balclutha is a nice place, and Telford would be one of the most beautiful farms in New Zealand.
So that's part of Lincoln University.
Yeah. Well, they've joined Lincoln University, but it was a standalone training institution. But there's a huge farm there. They've got equestrian horse riding. They've got a big, huge dairy farm, beef. And of course in Northland, Telford are working very closely with Northland College and the college. And on Saturday, I think 18 people graduated in the beekeeping course, because that is a huge opening. And like young people today, if I was coming back again in the next world, I'm going to come back as a beekeeper, because all this beautiful Manuka tea tree that we've all spent decades trying to get rid of has now become so valuable that you can make a huge amount of money out of beekeeping. And
there are a lot of beekeeping businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
Around the Kapiti.
And if Telford have got special courses, and this honey is in medicine, it's in everything now. But I've got a soft spot for Telford, because I think an institution like that has got a lot of contribution. Anybody can go there. Farmers in New Zealand, we can organise bursaries, etc., scholarships.
Do you know of any local people from around the Kapiti who have attended?
Yeah. No, we have. We've mentioned them in the latest thing.
The latest
column. And taking into account the beekeeping course, there would be nearly 30 people that have graduated through Telford this year out of Northland.
And thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So you can join us in a couple of weeks and tell us what's been happening and Be My Guest.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay,
thank you.